Back in 2023, I was really into video games and I was playing maybe like 4 or 5 hours every single night, staying up till like 3, 4 a.m. And you know what? The thing was, at this time, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled at all. I felt physically not happy, but also mentally unhappy. And it wasn't a good period of my life, and I knew what was going on. It was the fact that I wasn't getting sleep. That was a main reason why my mental health was suffering, and my physical health at that. And I didn't want to do anything about it. Like, I recognized the problem, but I just didn't do anything about it. And I'll tell you why specifically for me. It was kind of because I was in this period where I was now making a few $1,000s per month. I have this online business. I'm not really focused on it right now, but you guys might not know this, but on Instagram, I built up a following of about 70,000 followers, and I would share my art. People would buy it. I was making a good amount of money, but I wasn't happy. So this was a period in my life where I'm making a good amount of money, but I'm just not happy. And the reason why is because, well, multiple reasons, but the one I want to talk about in this video is just the fact that my sleep was screwed up. And it was just completely off track because of the actions that I was doing. So because my sleep was not right, I was waking up super late because I needed to sleep in, and I didn't feel good at all. I felt awful, man. Every time I would wake up, I would feel all groggy, and it was like, I would wake up feeling like, okay, tonight is gonna be a different night. I'm gonna make a difference, because I knew that there was a problem. I knew that I wasn't sleeping right, and I knew that I needed to get it back on track. But I didn't define what on track really meant for me. Meaning, all I said to myself was something vague. It was like, go to bed early, get up early. Early, what does early mean? I didn't define a set number. That was mistake number one, that I didn't have a number. I didn't have a schedule that I adhered to. And because of that, it just meant that I would do whatever I wanted till whenever I wanted. Because the mindset that I had at the time was like, well, it doesn't really matter because you're still making money. That was like the main goal for me at the time, was just make money. So it's like, oh, money is coming in regardless. You don't need to worry about your sleep schedule. But it was like I was neglecting the other parts of me. The fact that my mental health was suffering and my physical health was suffering. I wasn't taking control. I wasn't taking care of myself. And so the first mistake, like I said, was that I didn't define what getting up early was, going to bed early was. And so I couldn't adhere to it because it wasn't defined. You can only follow something once you've defined it, because otherwise everything is vague. So that's the first thing. And number two, the fact was that I was going to say like I didn't want to, but intuitively I did want to. I did want to make the change, but I didn't want to give up what it would have meant. I didn't want to give up the video games because they felt great, man. I was enjoying them. It's like, why do you want to give up something that's fun? And, looking back, because I see it totally differently now, but I understand how I was feeling and why I didn't want to give them up. So long as you feel like you're giving up something, you're not going to give it up. When you look at it like you're giving up something, it means that you're losing something. People don't want to feel like they're losing something. We only take action when we feel we're going to gain something from it. So the second thing was that I wasn't focused on what I would actually gain from getting rid of these video games, because they were fun, right? So I didn't want to give them up. But the moment that I started to recognize that they were actually more of a problem for me than benefiting my life just by giving myself entertainment, that was where, it's really windy now, that was where I started to see some differences, where I started to notice, okay, my mindset is shifting, my behavior is going to start to shift. And I was able to start slowly reducing the time. But I got to admit, that didn't really work for me. Just reducing the time from, say, 3 hours down to like 2 hours, it wasn't really changing it wasn't giving me enough of a change for me to notice changes in my physical and mental health at all. It was like, I was at this point where it's like, hey, I'm just reducing it, but I'm not, getting the benefits and I feel like I'm missing out. So that wasn't the answer, just to try and reduce it. And I think that's what a lot of guys try to do when they realize that this is a problem for them. See, so this video is kind of tied together between video games and sleep. But my main idea about this was the fact that you probably have a distraction in your life that's causing you to not sleep well. Because this whole idea that I'm trying to get across, the lesson that I've learned, is about sleep. But you don't just stay up late doing nothing. I can promise you that. You're not just staying up and just staring at your wall. You've got some sort of distraction, whether that's video games like it was for me, or it could be social media, or it could be anything else like that. You have some distraction that's holding your attention and it's not serving you. It's not serving you at all. You may feel like it's like in some way, you're getting entertainment from it, you're getting value from it in some way, but I promise you, you're not. And if you look at it truthfully, you'll feel it that way. Because look, when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? If you were anything like me, you didn't feel good at all. And that was the moment where you felt like, okay, I need to change this. You don't feel like you need to make the change while you're doing the fun activity. When you're playing video games, did you feel like you needed to change? Did you feel like, oh, I should turn this off right now? Maybe you had that thought like, oh, it's getting late, should I turn this off? But guess what? You probably just kept going. You probably just kept playing because you're like, screw it. I'll just enjoy it in the moment. And then tomorrow I'll worry about it. You're setting your future self up for disappointment and failure. Think about that. You're telling your future self, screw you, I don't care. That guy's looking at you like, what a jerk. Seriously, he's looking at you like, why would you do this to me? Because it's you, right? You're doing this to yourself. Do you think that it's worth it? Seriously, ask yourself that right now. Are the video games or scrolling on social media or any others, these addictions, are they worth it? Probably not. If you're honest with yourself, you know that they're not. That's why when you wake up, you don't feel good. You need to get your sleep back on track. So now let's talk about what that actually means. What does getting back on track mean, right? Because to say back on track means that something is off track right now. So you notice that. You notice that something is wrong right now. So what is it? Well, it's not just the fact that you're not getting enough sleep, right? Because that's what we often like to think about when it comes to sleep. We talk about the benefits. It's like, okay, the first thing you need to recognize is you need, 7 to 9 hours, like an average of 8 hours a night, then you'll be good. It's not just about the number of hours. And this was one thing that took me a little while to recognize, but I was getting enough hours. I was getting 8 hours of sleep. I would just start at 2 or 3 a.m. And then I would just go from then until like late afternoon. I was getting the 8 hours. I still woke up feeling awful. So we know that it's not just about the hours of sleep. It's the quality of sleep you get. And one of the factors about it, because I'm not going to go into everything, because sleep is huge, man. Sleep, I could talk about sleep forever because there's so many things involved in it. But one thing I want you to know right now about sleep is that if you're not going to bed before midnight, you're definitely screwing up your sleep. 100%. I don't care if you get 8 hours, 9, 10. You could get like 14 hours of sleep, but if it's after midnight, you're going to suffer as a result. The reason I say this, and there's scientific evidence to back this up, and you could do your own research on it, but what I want you to know from the evidence and from my own personal experience is this is absolutely true. When I go to bed before midnight, a few hours before, I feel phenomenal. Even if, and get this, even if that amount of hours was actually less than the average, like 8. Even if, say, I got 6 or 7, I promise you I'll feel better, I'll feel more energetic the next day than if I got those 8 hours but after midnight. Because the quality of sleep matters most. And that's determined by the number of hours you get before midnight. Now you could word this any way you want, but the way I like to say it is basically like, for every hour you get before midnight is essentially worth like 2 hours in quality sleep after midnight. You get what I'm saying? So it's like before midnight, if you're going to bed at say like 9, you get 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. That's 3 hours. But in practicality, like how it actually feels is more the equivalent of 6. So now let's say you get like 6 hours before midnight. Now after that point, think about it. After midnight, and now you say you go to like 6 a.m., you basically have like a total of 12 hours instead of like 9. Do you see the difference? That's just one thing about sleep that I just really wanted to share here with you, because if you're not getting to bed on time and within a certain window of time, then you're definitely screwing up your sleep. And if it's to do with the fact that you're like staying up because of video games or something like that, and it's not even to do with schoolwork or anything like work related in some way, that's totally on you. You know, like I can understand, because I remember back when I was in college, and this is like a topic probably for a whole nother video, but when I had to stay up late in a way. Like I had to pull these all-nighters in order to get the grades that I was after. Looking back, I feel like that's completely nonsense, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't ever sacrifice my sleep for those grades anymore. But I can understand if that's the position you're in right now. I can understand that it's like, well, I gotta stay up a little bit later. But you still gotta ask yourself, is it worth it, man? Because sleep is one of the most important things that you do for yourself. Your body needs sleep, and you need to recover. All your organs need to recover. It's how you're going to feel better. It's how you're going to feel happier. It's how you're going to feel healthier the next day. You need to get enough sleep. So definitely don't sacrifice your sleep if it's because of video games or any other distraction like that, just for entertainment, watching movies late. It's never worth it. It is absolutely never worth it. So get to bed on time tonight by setting a time for yourself and start sticking with it. And I'll probably make future videos on this, on how to actually go about doing that practically, because I know this is a tough topic and it took me a while to learn how I could start implementing this for myself. It wasn't just like super easy just to say, okay, go to bed. I get it. But if you could just start making some progress towards it by first recognizing that this is a problem for you, admitting it to yourself, and then trying to do something about it. I'll see you in the next one.